I should have known something was off the moment I signed the lease. The landlord's hands trembled when he handed me the keys, and his eyes darted nervously toward the hallway, as if he expected someone to stop him. The rent was suspiciously low for a place this close to the city center, but I wasn't in a position to ask questions. I just needed a place, anywhere to start over. The apartment itself was small but functional. A single-bedroom unit with a tiny kitchen, outdated wallpaper, and a draft that seeped through the cracked window frames. Nothing special, nothing memorable. And yet, from the moment I moved in, I felt like I was being watched. It started with the neighbors. They would glance at me in the hallway, their gazes filled with something that wasn't just curiosity, it was fear. An old woman on the second floor clutched her rosary when I passed by. A man in a faded jacket whispered something under his breath, eyes darting toward my door before he quickly walked away. At first, I thought it was just small-town paranoia. Maybe they didn't like outsiders. Maybe the last tenant had been a nightmare, and they assumed I'd be the same. But then, I noticed something stranger. My mail never arrived. Packages I ordered simply vanished. And when I checked the building's directory in the lobby, my apartment number wasn't listed. That was the moment the pit in my stomach deepened. I tried calling the landlord. No answer. I visited his office, only to find an empty space with dust-covered furniture, as if no one had been there in years. The first real sign of something being terribly wrong happened late one night. I woke up to the sound of footsteps inside my apartment. Slow, deliberate steps. I lay frozen, my breath caught in my throat, listening as the sound moved from the living room to my bedroom door. I reached for my phone, but the screen was black. Dead. The power had been working fine earlier. I strained my ears, barely breathing. The footsteps stopped just outside my room. Silence. Then a whisper. My name. A chill ran down my spine. I bolted upright and threw open the door. Nothing. The apartment was empty. The door was still locked. But the whisper had been real. The next morning, I asked one of the neighbors about the previous tenant. She paled, clutching the edge of her cardigan as if holding on to something solid. "There was no tenant before you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "That apartment has been empty for years." I laughed nervously. "That's impossible. I signed a lease. There are no records of that apartment existing." Her words sent a cold wave through me. I hurried back upstairs and searched through my lease agreement, looking for anything unusual. The paper was there, the signature intact, but the apartment number wasn't listed. It was just a blank space. The walls started feeling smaller, the air heavier. I had to get out. I packed a bag, threw open the door, and nearly collided with the old woman from downstairs. She was panting, her eyes wide with terror. "You need to leave," she whispered. "Now." "Why? What's going on?" But she only shook her head. "You don't belong here. It doesn't want you here." "What doesn't want me here?" She didn't answer. Instead, she shoved something into my hands, a faded, yellowed newspaper clipping. The headline made my blood run cold. "Local man vanishes from non-existent apartment." The article was dated 20 years ago. The man's name was eerily close to mine. I turned to ask the woman more, but she was already retreating down the stairs, muttering prayers under her breath. That night, I barely slept. Every shadow in the room felt deeper. Every creak in the floorboards made my heart pound. At 3 a.m., I heard it again, footsteps. But this time, they weren't coming toward my room. They were leaving it. I sat up, my pulse hammering. The bedroom door stood open, and then I saw it, a figure in the darkness, just standing there, watching me. It was me, my reflection, my double, standing in the doorway, staring at me with hollow eyes. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't respond. The figure tilted its head, then stepped back into the hallway, disappearing into the shadows. The air felt heavier, pressing against my chest like invisible hands. I wanted to run, but my legs felt rooted to the floor. I forced myself to breathe. One deep inhale, one shaky exhale. Then I moved, inching toward the hallway with slow, deliberate steps. The air crackled with an unnatural cold. I reached the doorway and peeked around the corner. The apartment was empty, yet it wasn't. The walls seemed taller, the furniture slightly off, as if the space was subtly warping, shifting. My reflection had vanished, but the feeling of being watched was suffocating. Then a whisper, right behind me. I turned so fast I nearly lost my balance. The air was empty, but something had been there. I could feel it. I grabbed my bag and ran. The hallway stretched unnaturally long, doors blurring past me. I don't remember reaching the stairs, but suddenly I was outside, gulping down cold air like a drowning man breaking the surface. I didn't stop running. I didn't look back. Not until I was halfway across town, standing under the sickly glow of a street lamp. My heart pounded. My body trembled. My apartment key dug into my palm. Then I saw it. The key was changing. The number on it blurred, twisted, until it was blank. Just like my lease. Just like my apartment. The next day, I went back. Just to be sure. The building was there. The neighbors were there. But my apartment? It wasn't. The door was gone. The window was gone. The space where it had been was just a blank wall. Like it had never existed. And maybe it never did. Maybe I never did.